Martial arts is a great way to mix self-defense with enjoyment and fitness. And I respect anyone who practices it, as it takes physical and mental determination to persevere. However, there are a few common mistakes that I've seen many people make, and many that I've also been guilty of, and some I still do to this day. I'm trying to get better. But here is my list of common martial arts mistakes that people make. Number 1, starting. I'm only joking, I take it back. Starting is the best thing you can do, so don't listen to what I just said. Number 1 is not warming up properly. To this day, I still occasionally do this one, and I think it's one of the most important ones to remember, since a proper warm-up can be the difference between you and a serious injury. Make sure you spend at least 5 to 10 minutes before every session getting stretched out, loosened off, ready to do some exercise. Now this one applies to every sport really, every sport that involves physical activity. But especially if you do a martial art that involves kicking, you want to make sure that those legs are very loose and stretched before you start kicking, because my hamstrings will tell you that it is not fun to kick when you haven't warmed up. Number 2 is thinking you are the undisputed martial artist of the world when you achieve your black belt. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be proud of your achievement and celebrate it, because getting your black belt is a massive achievement. Unless, of course, you are part of a McDojo, in which case, you probably could have got that whether you did the techniques right or not. By all means, be happy about it and tell people about it. Be proud of it, but do not start thinking that you are better than everyone else, because I can assure you there is always someone better, and you will get humbled if you have this mindset. From white belt to black belt is just the basics. When you get to black belt, you realise how little you actually know. Number 3 is neglecting your technique to try and be fast. Again, this is another big one that I'm guilty of, more so in the past, but I still do it sometimes. This is basically just me ranting about all my problems, pretty much. But I'm sure there's other martial artists that can relate out there as well. Now this one is a difficult habit to break, because when you do it faster, your body is telling you that it's better, it must be better, it's faster, your body's feeling like it's doing more work and it feels better. But 99% of the time, this is not the case. Unless, of course, your technique is already perfect, which it probably isn't. So take a deep breath, relax, start controlling your technique, break it down, do it slower, and focus on perfecting the technique before you start speeding it up. And I promise you, the whole movement will look so much better. Number 4, not stretching regularly. I cannot stress this one enough. This is, again, another one that I'm guilty for, or was guilty for. I do it now, but I used to be really bad for this. I was always very flexible as a child, but when I started getting into my teenage years, like 14, 15, 16, I did not stretch at all. I was still obviously doing karate, but I wasn't really taking it seriously. I didn't stretch every day, and I pretty much lost all of my flexibility. Every last bit of it was gone. I was back to square one. I was no more flexible than the average person, and that shouldn't have been the case if I was doing a martial art that involved kicking. So I had to start all over again doing intense stretching sessions every single day until I finally stretched my legs out enough to be able to do head height kicks and all this stuff. And trust me, it was a lot harder this way than it would have been if I'd have just stretched from day one. Even 10 minutes of stretching per day can be enough to maintain and even improve your flexibility. Mobility is a great tool in any martial art really, so it's definitely worth unlocking it. Number 5, avoiding sparring. This one kind of speaks for itself really. Avoiding sparring will massively slow down your progress in martial arts, because when you have a moving, attacking and defending opponent in front of you, it's so much different to hitting the pads, and you need to know whether the training you're doing can work on a real opponent. Many people say they're scared to get hit in the face, and I can understand that. It's not nice. No one really wants to get hit in the face, but the only way to get over that is to jump right in and do some light sparring. Obviously make your opponent aware that this is your first time, you know, you're a bit nervous, let's do some light sparring just so I can get used to it. And you'll realise that you can't even feel it really when you've got the adrenaline pumping through your blood. So stop avoiding sparring, go in lightly and just enjoy it, because sparring is fun. Number 6, relying on one technique or style. This one is more for those of you that compete or fight competitively. Some people will realise that they're really good at a certain technique, but then overuse that technique because they start scoring with it or landing punches with it or kicks. And it just gets to a point where it's extremely readable because you've done it so many times, and if you've got a smart opponent, they'll see it and they know what you're doing because you're doing it all the time, and it just doesn't work anymore. For example, if you've got a lightning fast jab and you land punches all the time with it, you land the jab all the time, but you keep doing it and that's all you do, eventually you're not going to land it anymore because your opponents are going to catch on, they're going to start, blocking it, parrying it, and it's just not going to work. You should train to perfect all of your techniques so every single one of them is fast and unpredictable, so then you can be a more complete fighter. Same with fighting style. If you always fight with your left leg forward and you always bounce in the same rhythm, people are going to start to catch on to that and they're going to exploit it. So it's also good to learn how to switch between fighting styles, you know, mid-fight, just so you can, again, stay unreadable and keep your opponents guessing. Number 7, now this is the one that gets on my nerves the most. Thinking your martial art is the best martial art to ever bless the earth. This one is for you keyboard warriors out there who always say one martial art is better than everyone, no one's going to beat this martial art. It is false. The expression, it depends on the practitioner, is very true. For example, if you placed an average Taekwondo practitioner against an excellent boxer, obviously the boxer's going to win, and vice versa. And it also depends what rules you're implementing into the fight. So like, if you put a boxer into Taekwondo rules, he's going to get destroyed. But if you put a Taekwondo athlete into boxing rules, he's going to get destroyed. Stop putting one martial art above the rest and just start appreciating all the martial arts and martial artists for what they are. The martial arts community can be very toxic sometimes, and we have to stop this. Number 8. Giving up after the first try. Martial arts can be confusing and techniques can be hard to get to grips with, but consistency is so important. For example, there are some kicks that I picked up in a day, and there are also some kicks that it took me years to get the hang of. Do not give up if you don't get it the first time, because I know how tempting it can be to just walk away and stop, because I've had that feeling so many times, but I also know how good it feels when you don't give up and you persevere and it all pays off and you get that move, you get that technique that you wanted to achieve. Number 9. Neglecting defense. Everyone sees highlight knockouts in boxing or MMA and they just want that glory that comes with it. But oftentimes people overlook how effective good defense is. Defense can win championships. Do not go into your fight swinging and kicking trying to get that knockout, because a good opponent will wait and defend until you're tired and then they'll go in for the kill. And then they'll get the highlight knockout that you were going for. Practice your defense. Number 10, the last one and probably the most important one, train consistently. Whether it's once per week or once per day, make sure you stay consistent with it. The worst thing you can do is train every single day really hard for a month and then have a month off, because you've just undone all the hard work that you did in that month and your progress has gone down the drain. I would rather you train once per week but keep it consistent than train every single day like a dog and then the next week you just lay in bed all week and do nothing. Consistency really is key, and I can't stress that enough. Thank you very much for watching. This was a slightly different video, but I hope you did enjoy it and can take something from it. Let me know in the comments if you did enjoy it or if you want more stuff like this. And also just let me know in general what you want me to do in these longer style videos. If you liked it, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. Road to 1 million starts now. See you in the next one.